So let's talk about management review for a second. So employees are up here using their processes. When you go to implement something for the first time, you ask employees, go into your control panel. This process is now available to you. I want you to study it, read it. We're going to talk about it in the meeting. Mark it as complete when you've done that. So they make a little note to you, read and agreed to this, or yes, I read the work plan, and they save that back to TouchStone. So you can implement that way. You can implement in a meeting setting where you go and show TouchStone on a screen or even on your laptop and say, hey, this is the new process. You all have it in your control panels. Let's walk through it together. Then managers need to come in through this area and make sure that the work is getting done and to make sure that the processes are relevant, updated, and innovated. So that's the manager's primary accountability, ensuring that processes are used. They're getting results through employees by using the processes. A documented process is the most valuable tool that any manager could ever have. And I will die on that hill. It's true. Any manager who doesn't use documented processes, doesn't have them, is at an extreme disadvantage when it comes to management. I would suggest that they're extremely inefficient, overworked, chaotic, in a bad mood a lot of the time. They don't like being managers because it's difficult to manage when you don't have training and you don't have a consistent way of teaching people how to do things. You don't have a consistent way of referring to how they do it. You're just, herding cats. You're just a crazy person trying to make sure everyone's doing their job. Causes extreme inefficiency and lack of profitability. So as a manager, your biggest asset is a documented process. If you believe that wholeheartedly and you create a management philosophy that dictates that, all your managers are going to come to work differently every day. And their primary goal is going to be to ensure that every single one of these people here are using their processes, that all those processes are up to date and efficient. They're referring to them, they're using them. And that's a beautiful result to get because it's going to make your business more profitable and worth more money and more enjoyable. So here in management review, there are tools designed for this. So here's this person called Mary. And now I'm seeing all of the processes that Mary is responsible for. I know I can reference any one of these processes with her and I can say, hey, Mary, you didn't do your to-do list today. Go in and do it. Or, hey, Mary, I heard you on the phone the other day with this customer and it just didn't sound good. I want you to go listen to the audio file in this process and tell me, tell me how that sounds. So you refer to them for that employee. For new employee training, let's imagine Mary here is a new employee. I would go through every process one at a time. So here's her daily to-do checklist. I'd go through with her. These are the things you do every day. I want you to fill out this checklist every time you do them. When I'm happy with it, I can mark her as trained in this checklist, and I can put in training notes. I can even put in, how much time it took me to train her in this. This is good statistics to keep, and then I just save it. So I'm in management review. I'm not completing this checklist. I'm just looking at the checklist she's responsible for, and I'm marking her as trained, or I'm keeping, training notes. You can also see the little green check mark that appears next to this once I've trained her in it. And I can always go here to this notes field here to the right to see the notes that I've entered, the training notes. Or I can go and flip this whole flag, which trains her in the whole process. Now, this only has a checklist in it, but other processes have more tools in them than that. So you just hit this one button, and then when I go back here to her in management review, I see this green check mark that she's been trained. So this is what I mean by this is a checklist for training employees. I go down to the next process on customer complaints. I'm teaching her all of these things. I can go to the work plan and say, add in more notes about her training here, that I went over this with her. Then I go back when I'm happy that she's been trained in all of this. So she's gone through and watched the videos, the audio, all of it. Then I flip this flag, trained all, and then the check marks appear through every process tool. So you can do them one at a time or you can do them all at once. Some processes are more complicated than others, so you're going to kind of go one at a time and check it off as you do it over a few days or a few weeks. But if it's easy enough, it happens all in one day, then I go and click this trained all, and then I'm going to see, again, that she's trained in this. If you have an employee that you've thoroughly trained and they're having a significant issue with one of the processes that they're just not following, like the other day I heard one of our customer service people, they weren't dealing with a complaint, but they were talking on the phone to one user, and she's an intern, so she is a millennial, quite young, and was saying like, and I might have told this story already, but she was saying things like you guys, that's what it was. You guys this, you guys that. And it's a natural thing that kind of rolls off people's tongue, the whole you guys, but it sounds horrible on the phone. So we actually have an audio file of this exact thing, what not to do and say. So she went and listened to that and learned about, how it sounded or heard how it sounded, which was very impactful. So back to this idea, if you have a problem with an employee, unmark them as trained. Make a note in the process that they need to study or review or what needs to happen. And then when they go to their dashboard, they're going to see that they are unmarked as trained in that process. And then when you're happy with the retraining, you can go and mark it again. So managers go into management review to focus in on processes with employees, do new employee training, also to look at notes maybe that have been made to them in the processes. So you're using the management review area to ensure that the employees are thoroughly trained. There's also a report tool, which is over here, which allows you to run reports of employees' work. So I hit the report tool, and then I'm taken here, and I can run a control panel report, which is of my own work. So here I'm just going to put today's date range in just so you can see what it looks like. And then I hit run report. And now I'm seeing these are all of the things that I just completed while we were talking. I just hit complete, or I saved an uploaded file. So this is running a report of the things that I've done in my control panel. So if I wanted to see that employee contract or the PDF I uploaded, or if I want to look at the performance review, I can search the save as, which is right here, or I can do a date range, or I can search by process tool. So if I just wanted to search for just the checklist that I created, then I can do that as well. Right next to the control panel is the management review reports. So here's where I would be searching as a manager for what my employees had done. So if I had an employee in that was being trained that week and I wanted them to go into their control panel and review all the tools and make notes about what they did, maybe complete tests that I had in there, and then at the end of the day, I would run a management review report of that employee. And then I would see a list of everything that they did in their control panel that day, or based on that save as, or based on that process tool type. Here under user is where you can choose the employee that you want to search for. If you don't choose a user, it's going to search everyone that you have management review for. And if you just hit run report here, I'm going to see everything Mary has done, and this is throughout time because I didn't put a date range in. You also see this little graph which says the percentage of things that she's using in the control panel, which may or may not be interesting to you. But here, I see the notes, the save as that she put to me, like the different projects she's working on. And then it organizes it by process tool title. So these are the customer complaints things that she's done. Here's a checklist. She's even made a note that says finished 1 through 3, but she hasn't done the rest yet. She's labeling this as, a client's name. So if you're a manager and you have things in the control panel on the dashboard that your employees are doing in TouchStone, checklists, you've got new employee training going on, You have forms that they're filling out. You want to check for checklists, especially if they're daily checklists, you want to check once a day that they're there before you leave for the day. And it's not that much work. You hit the report tool, go to management review, put the date range in. Here's a few clicks here, and you hit run report. There's nothing going to be in here because this is my demo account. We haven't been in doing things in the management area. But that's the idea. Hit run report, and you'll see a list of all the checklists just pop up. And if you look and you notice one of your employees is missing, you know they didn't do the checklist. Send them an email. Say, hey, where's your checklist? You can even take, and I've done this lots of times before, you can even take a picture of it from TouchStone just like this. Go to an email. Once you save this simple screenshot, you don't have to save it back to your computer. You go right click paste, put it in an email, and send it to them. Where's your checklist? It takes 5 minutes at the most if you have to correct someone. It's not that big of a deal. And it's absolutely worth it if you want to make sure the checklists continue to get done over time. So that's the report tool. So this has been, a lot of information all at once. But just to remember, the key point of the control panel is to make sure your processes are implemented. Make sure they're implemented. Make sure employees are using them. The key purpose of management review is to ensure managers to make sure that the employees are doing what they need to do, they're thoroughly trained, and that the processes are innovative and useful. That's what the manager does. Have your managers scan through their employees' processes once a month just to look at them. It doesn't take that much time. I go here to Bill. I know he's the bookkeeper. I click on accounts payable. I just look through these work plans. How's it look? How's it look? How's it look? This one's empty. If he's made notes to me about things he's done or things that are missing in the processes, I can see those notes here. They just review it. Once things are documented, just to have the review done, maybe it's a half an hour a week. I don't even know. It probably isn't even that much. But it's worth it for the manager to do because everything stays updated. I heard a manager say to me the other day about TouchStone, well, we wait till January and then we have this, we just go through and innovate everything or we update everything. Horrible idea. That's the worst idea ever because what that says is throughout the year, things aren't being updated. You don't want to wait to the end of the year. It's a huge, daunting task at the end of the year. And people forget. And more importantly, they stop using TouchStone. There's a huge benefit to you having people innovate and update things as they change, making them better. You get the result of having everything updated, but you also get the result of teaching your employees about quality control, teaching them this life skill of efficiency and making sure that the work that they're doing is actually consistent. You create a culture of innovation, which is a wonderful culture to have. There's we're going to get to the process of the week here in a minute, but there's another quick idea that I have for you about making sure your processes are implemented. You can have a monthly department meeting or even a weekly. I think monthly is good. And so say this is for the sales department. So let's go back here to the dashboard and let's go to a sales position. Here's Sam. So say for the sales department, you have a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting, whatever it is. Choose a process of the month or a process of the week. Have that process be the process of the week or month that people focus on. So what the game is we choose the process of the week, like sales follow-up, and people are told what it is at the beginning of the month or the week, and you say, throughout this month, I want everybody to read over this process in their control panel and make notes inside of it on how it could be better. So they go to the process and choose the work plan, and then here in the notes field, they can make notes and save them back to TouchStone. Notice the process, follow through, look at it, look at the scripts, and at the end of the month, talk about all the ideas people have on how it could be better. And really congratulate people who add things to the frequently asked questions script or say how something could be changed. It's a short little thing that you can do once a month to engage everyone in the documentation and to get them excited about contributing to it. So implement some kind of process of the month. It's a great idea.